I'm Linda Gale from BNI Berkshire, Gloucestershire and Wiltshire. I'd like to welcome you to my BNI Meets regional spotlight series, where I sit down with some of our incredible members to share their stories, their successes, and the real benefits they've experienced through BNI. Each episode will dive into the business journeys of our members, learning about what they do, how they help others, and how the power of BNI connections have helped them to grow both personally and professionally. Whether you're already part of BNI or just curious about what makes this global business network so powerful, these conversations will give you an inside look at the relationships, referrals, and results that make BNI truly unique. So let's get started and meet today's featured member. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of BNI Meets. Today, I have Michael Palfrey from Theale Wellbeing Centre with me. Welcome, Michael.
Good afternoon, Linda.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, nice to have you here. Looking forward to hearing more about Theale Wellbeing Centre and also understanding why I feel like it's a bit of a... This is going to sound really wrong now. But I really like coming to the centre because I feel like I'm getting everything put back into position, but it does feel a little bit like a torture session.
Well, I mean, I've been accused of many things, but I am not a torturer, Linda.
I know.
I'm a gentle giant.
I do feel amazing when I come out, but anyway, let's start with the BNI questions first before we go down that road. When did you first join BNI, and what motivated you to walk into your first meeting?
Okay, so I thought about this. I joined in 2019, core group in Streatley. The reason I went there was because a chap invited me along. That was as simple as that. Okay. But the reason I accepted the invitation, having resisted for some considerable time prior to that, because I'd been contacted on a number of occasions by what I now know to be BNI members. Yeah. The reason I did it was I actually went to a therapy expo, and there was a guy there who claimed that he could turn practitioners into millionaires effectively. So I can tell you how to make loads and loads of money. And so I went up to him and I said, what's your number one top tip for becoming a 6 or 7 figure therapist, which was what he was marketing himself. And he said networking. So go and do some networking. And it just so happened that a week or two later, a guy called Pete Moles contacted me out of the blue and said, how do you fancy coming to a networking meeting? And I went, well, he said do networking. That. Yeah. I'll do that. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Okay. What was the clinic like before joining BNI, and what kind of growth were you hoping for?
So the clinic's been going for 15 years in its current guise. And it was reasonably successful. We were doing okay, but certain aspects of the business were not growing as rapidly as others. The podiatry side of the business, flying along. It's a really easy sell. But other bits of it were taking a little bit longer to get going. And the impact that BNI has had, and it wasn't an overnight success. And I never tell new people in BNI that they're going to get immediate success, but over time, it started to generate quality referrals for individual patients, but also referral partners who could introduce us to the target market that we were looking for. And so the impact over time has been really positive because we've been introduced to people who can introduce us to lots of our potential clients. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Can you share your first impressions of the chapter and how you felt as a new member? So I can remember walking into the first core group meeting, being greeted by Mr. Nick Forgem, and my BNI husband, Mr. Tony Virgo Harris, was there as well. Yeah. Which was quite an introduction, let me tell you. There was plenty of energy in the room, and I mean, I'm normally a fairly confident chap, but I do remember standing there with my bit of paper that I'd written my 60-second presentation on, and it was blowing around as if there was a gale in the room. I was terrified at that point. But everyone was so warm and welcoming, and I didn't feel like I was under pressure, or it wasn't a threatening environment in any way. So I stood up, did my bit, sat down and went, oh, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So I actually felt really well welcomed from the outset.
Cool. Nice. Okay. What aspect of BNI has been most beneficial to you? Referrals, the structure, the networking skills, accountability, education? What parts of it have you found the most beneficial?
It's difficult to single out an individual component of BNI that has been the best bit, as it were. There's no doubt that the additional referrals and the additional business are a big part of why I've stayed in BNI for so long. But it's the relationships that I've built, and the accountability is a massive thing. I'm a classic case of somebody who will do something tomorrow if I can. If I can put it off, I'll do it. But one of the things that I've picked up from BNI is actually, if I now say I'm going to do this, I pull my finger out and I do it. So the accountability is a big thing, and people are a bit scared of that. But actually, you know what? It's a positive thing. It's not a stick to be beaten with. It's a really positive thing because it will transform relationships both in business and in your personal life as well. So, yeah, the referrals are great. Don't get me wrong, but actually having somebody who will hold my feet to the flame a little bit and go, "Have you done this yet?" is great.
Yeah, cool, good. So, do you have a memorable referral story that highlights the power of BNI for the clinic?
Yes, I think I do. So often in the world of therapy and therapists, we jealously guard our patients because we're a little bit worried that if they see somebody else, they think, oh, they're a little bit better than I am, and we're going to lose them to that other therapist. But off the back of a one-to-one I had with another osteopath, who on the face of it you would think would be competition for me, despite not being massively local, but they're local enough to potentially be a competitor. Off the back of that, a lady called Laura Fishlock, who was in BNI at the time, started sending me patients for shockwave therapy, which is one of the specialist services that we offer. And it is one of our higher value services as well. So whilst it's not been hundreds of people, it's definitely been that there's been a steady flow of those referrals that have really been beneficial to us as a business, but have also helped her patients out.
Yeah.
And then those patients have gone back to Laura in a better state than when they came, and then she carries on their care. So that's a fantastic little relationship that we've built.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. How has BNI helped you build long-term professional relationships and trust with other healthcare providers like Laura, like you've just mentioned?
Well, indeed. I mean, that's an example of one of the referral partnerships that we've built. But I sponsored in one of my former patients into my chapter Innovate. He's a personal trainer. And so he and I had already forged a bit of a relationship, and we would speak from time to time because I'd helped him out with his back when that was causing him problems. And he and I had passed the odd referral back and forth. But since he joined the chapter and we've had regular one-to-ones and seen each other every week and learnt more and more about each other's businesses, that's become a relationship that does bear fruit on a regular basis. And it's a proper two-way street as well.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Good. Has your approach to networking and business development changed since you've been a member?
Yes. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. Pre-BNI, it was a bit of stick a finger in the wind and kind of
see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. Throw some mud at the wall and some of it might stick.
Yeah.
And it was, we had, I mean, it wasn't a completely haphazard approach, but there was a lot of trial and error going on, and sometimes we'd do something and it would work a bit, and then we'd stop doing it because it worked so well.
Yeah.
But BNI has given that kind of regular, as we discussed earlier, structure, and allowed us to kind of be a little bit more targeted in where we're going.
Nice. Good. What would you say to another healthcare professional who's unsure whether BNI would work for them and their practice?
Well, I understand the uncertainty, but I think the only way to find out how much you can gain from being a member of BNI and how powerful it can be is to actually enter that world and give it a go. I would also say don't expect overnight results.
Yeah.
Because we're in a business where people need to know that they can trust you and that you do deliver what you say you are capable of delivering. So it takes a little while to build up to the point where people are happy to pass you referrals. because they are handing you somebody who is possibly in a vulnerable state. So it's not going to be turn up to your first BNI meeting and get hundreds of referrals, but it will allow you to build relationships with people who can help you both in terms of advising you on how to grow your business, but also pass you introductions and referrals to people who can access your target markets. So I think it's, yes, I get why people are a little bit nervous around it, but I think just embrace it and go with it, because it does work.
Yeah, fully invest yourself in it and
just engage.
Works wonders. Yeah. Okay. Looking ahead, how do you see BNI continuing to support the growth and direction of Theale Wellbeing Centre?
Well, that's interesting, because I'm hoping that we're on the cusp of a bit of a transformation in part of the business, which could lead me to be busier than I've ever been. But off the back of that, I will need potentially to find people who can actually support me in that and work within the business and take on some of the clients that will need seeing. So in that instance, I'll use BNI potentially to help me grow our base of therapists, because it could be transformational for the business.
Nice.
So whilst I will still be asking my fellow BNI members for introductions to other therapists and to referral partners and to clients, I'll also be potentially looking for therapists that want to come and work with us.
Interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Cool. Okay, right. Let's move on to more about the business. So for people who may not be familiar with what an osteopath can do, can you explain in everyday terms?
I can certainly try. And rest assured, there are arguments amongst osteopaths as to what exactly they do. Yeah. Nobody's quite clearly defined fully what it is, although there are some very good definitions out there. In very, very simplistic terms, I look for things in the body that aren't moving and I try and make them move. That's a very, very boiled down explanation. So, I mean, what it boils down to is that you want blood flowing, you want joints moving, you want muscles working and not fighting against each other, and we try and make all that happen. We're body mechanics, basically.
Body mechanic. I like that. Cool. Okay. What kinds of pain or conditions do you treat most frequently in your clinic? Okay,
so the top two things that we see are lower back pain and neck pain. Without a shadow of a doubt, that's my life as an osteopath has been built around back pain and neck pain.
Yeah.
But, I mean, bearing in mind the clinic is quite a broad church, we've got quite a lot of therapies, and we go top to toe.
Okay.
I mean, for example, I love treating headaches and migraines because in certain circumstances we can get brilliant results with those. We'll have a look at hips and knees and elbows, feet and ankles. We cover the lot.
Yes, you do. And I have been on numerous occasions for numerous ailments, and it's been amazing. Okay, what first inspired you to be an osteopath, and what keeps you passionate about what you do? Okay, so
here's the story, and this is absolutely 100% what happened. At the age of about 14, I went on a trip to see my cousins. They were staying with their father in South Wales, so I went down for a couple of weeks to South Wales. I tripped over one of his dogs in the garden, running around like a lunatic, and hurt my ankle. I had no idea what my uncle did for a living, not a clue, but he saw me hobbling about and said, "Come with me." So I disappeared into the house, and he took me into this room, and he said, "Hop up on there." And he got hold of my foot and ankle and waggled it around a little bit, and I stood on it and went, "Oh, that doesn't hurt anymore. How'd you do that?" He said, "Well, I'm an osteopath." Said, "What on earth is an osteopath?" So I went home. I said to my parents, "I want to be an osteopath," which kind of came as a bolt from the blue. I think it was a policeman or a train driver before that. And I got a prospectus for the British School of Osteopathy and decided that that's what I was going to do. What keeps me passionate is actually people like you. When you say that we've had amazing results, that's the most gratifying thing. When you've got somebody who comes in and they're evidently struggling, they're in pain, they're miserable because of the pain, their life is being affected in so many different ways. When you get them to the point where they say, "You know what, I can now go and play golf comfortably, or I can go to work and it doesn't hurt, or I can get out of bed and not think, oh, what's going to happen now?"
Yeah.
that's the most gratifying thing when somebody says, you know what, I feel brilliant.
Yeah.
Job done.
Yeah. Well, I think the stuff that you did with that shockwave treatment on my knees, I mean, my knees have been rubbish for years. And yes, it hurts. But the fact that I was able to run for the first time in years and do park run was a bit of a miracle for me. Until I fell over at park run and hurt my knee again. But, you know, that's another story.
Yeah, and that is the one instance where I'll allow you to call me a torturer, because shockwave is brilliant, but I can't get away from the fact it has to hurt to work.
God, yeah, blimey. Well, and literally last week I was in seeing Isabel, and because I've suffered with migraines, and I know you've worked on my neck and everything before, but she did the cranial stuff. I haven't had a migraine since then.
Touch wood.
Touch wood. Touch wood.
Where hopefully that'll be the case.
Yeah. So whatever you do, it feels like a bit of a magic wand, shall we say. What are some of the common causes of chronic pain that people often overlook or misunderstand?
When I read this question, I thought, how on earth am I going to answer that? And then I thought, you know what? It's the answer to that is not taking action.
Yeah.
The causes. The most common causes of the sorts of chronic pain that I deal with, we're not talking about some of the medical conditions that people can present with, because often they have no control over that. But the stuff to do with muscles and joints and nerves is often as a result of injuring yourself at some point and then ignoring it. And there are people in this world who will bury their head in the sand and will come to us and go, I've had this problem for about 20 years. Yeah. And you go, well, what have you done about it? Well, I spoke to my GP about 13 years ago, and did anything happen? No. And then I ignored it some more. So the most common cause, I think, besides all the silly things we do to ourselves to injure ourselves, the most common cause of chronic pain is not taking action before it becomes a chronic pain. Okay.
Nice. Okie doke. Can you walk us through what a typical first appointment looks like for a new patient?
Definitely. With me, so before they even come in, we'll have sent them out a medical history form so they can give us some background information, which forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah.
So I can have a little look through that, and so I know a bit about what they're coming in with and why they're coming to us. I'll then spend a good 10-15 minutes taking them through the problem that they're presenting to me with and their medical history. And I will also, generally speaking, ask them what their goals are from treatment, because some people come in with unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. They think, I can get that magic wand out, and in 2 treatments they're going to be fine and dandy.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. I'm always open and honest. I'll say, look, this might take a little while. We might need to do a couple of different things to actually get you to where you need to be. Mm-hmm. But once we've gone through the history and we've ascertained what they're looking to get from treatment, then there'll be some examination and some tests, some of them orthopedic, some neurological testing. I'll come to a let's call it a working diagnosis, although in some cases I will refer people for further investigation, send them off for MRI or blood tests if I'm suspicious that there's something else going on. But if it's appropriate to do so at that point, then they will receive some treatment in that first consultation as well, and a bit of a plan as to what's going to happen going forward and how we're going to try and get them to the point where they are happy and healthy. Okay, nice. Okie doke.
How do lifestyle factors like posture, stress, movement habits impact on the treatment plans that you create?
Well, so COVID's been an interesting one. That the increase in number of people working from home has had a number of different impacts. Some people are moving more and doing more, which on the whole is a great thing to do, but they sometimes get a bit carried away and try and do a bit too much, or take on some heavy weights in the gym and things like that. But equally, we're still finding people are working from home sitting on a sofa with a laptop on the coffee table, with horrific posture, and just then presenting with necks and backs and things that are just in horrible hunched up positions. So it's the modern world, I often say to people, the invention of the PC has been great for my business, because people sitting in front of computers is fantastic for my business, because they often don't move a great deal.
Yeah.
They'll get engrossed in a task, and then they'll look up and they've been sat there for 4 or 5 hours without moving a muscle. So, I mean, lifestyle and sedentary working habits and that sort of thing are just, I mean, keep doing it, people, because you can keep coming to see me.
Keep sitting on the sofa with your laptop.
With the laptop on the coffee table, looking like a hunchback.
Yeah. Oh, dear. What are the biggest mistakes people make when managing their own pain before seeking professional help?
Well, as discussed earlier, not seeking help soon enough.
Yeah.
The big one, so, I mean, everyone's heard the sort of tales of people in days of yore being told to lie on a board for 6 weeks with their bad back, that sort of thing. These days, the advice is try not to rest for any more than about 40 hours. If you've hurt yourself, as long as it's not too painful to do so, get moving as quickly as you can, because the body wants you to move. We are designed to move.
Yeah.
And if you stop moving, everything else will seize up eventually.
Yeah.
But there are certain circumstances where people try and grit their teeth and get through things. I mean, I had a lady in earlier this week who was saying, I've had a fall a week or two ago. My shoulder hurts. Can I still go to the gym? And I'm going, well, what can you do with your shoulder? She said, well, I can lift it a little bit in this direction and this direction. I'm thinking, well, that would indicate to me that your shoulder is in trouble.
Yeah.
Let's not think about going to the gym at this stage. Let's think about trying to find out what's going on. And I actually referred her on, and she's got a fracture in her shoulder.
Oh, God.
So I think the thing is, people they'll pop a couple of painkillers. They might stick a heat pack on or an ice pack or something like that, and then they kind of go, I'll be all right in a couple of days.
Yeah.
If you've had a problem that's quite painful and it's been going on for 2 or 3 days and doesn't seem to be responding to a bit of ice and some painkillers, do something about it.
Yeah.
Contact a professional, be it your GP or somebody like me, or just somebody who might know a little bit about what's going on. Because if you ignore it, yes, it might settle down and you'll become more comfortable, but have you stored up a problem for the future where you haven't actually fully resolved that injury?
Yeah. Okay. Good. So don't just grit your teeth and bear it.
Do something.
Do something.
Take some action.
JDI. Do you have a standout success story where a patient experienced a significant transformation?
Fortunately, there are several, and it's a little bit tricky to pick one. I think some of the IDD clients, which is another therapy that we offer, which is specifically for people with disc injuries in their neck or lower back, some of them come in a real pickle. They are struggling, and probably my favourite one of those was a young lady. She was late teens, early 20s. She was a student, and at the time she came to see me, she couldn't sit long enough to eat a meal.
Wow.
Let alone she had some exams on the horizon, and she actually had to defer for a year because she couldn't have sat through an exam for 3 or 4 hours because it was just too painful. So she deferred for a year. We did some IDD therapy. We gave her an exercise program, and the following year she sat her exams and flew through them absolutely pain-free.
Nice.
That's probably my favourite story.
Okay. So tell us what IDD therapy is.
So that is it's a method of decompressing slipped or bulging prolapse discs that is non-surgical, non-invasive.
Right.
So we use it. It bridges the gap between what I do as a manual therapist, and there are times when what I do as a manual therapist doesn't work. But equally, those people don't necessarily want to go off and have injections or surgery or whatever. So people with slipped discs, in inverted commas, are good candidates for IDD therapy because often we can help them avoid the more invasive types of treatment.
Okay. Cool. If someone is dealing with ongoing pain but has never seen an osteopath before, what first step would you encourage them to take? Just pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
And because myself and any of the therapists at Theale Wellbeing Centre are very happy to have a 10-15 minute chat with somebody over the phone. No obligation, no fee involved. If you've got a problem and you think, well, what do I do about this? we'll either say, yes, I think we can help, or we'll say, actually, no, we think you should go off and do X, Y, or Z, whatever that may be. We do have access to MRI scans and things like that if we need them. And one of the things we're really careful to do is make sure that people get the appropriate treatment. So have a chat with us. We're not going to give you a hard sell. Just speak to us and we'll tell you whether we can help or not.
Okay. Perfect. Well, it's been an education, Michael.
Oh,
thank you very much for coming in and explaining a bit more about Theale Wellbeing Centre and the great work you do. And I am a massive advocate because, as I've said, you've helped me on numerous occasions.
Well, thank you, Linda.
So thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for today's episode of my BNI Meets Regional Spotlight series. Big thank you to our guests for sharing their stories and insights with us. If you've been inspired by what you've heard and want to discover how BNI could help your business grow through referrals, relationships and real results, we'd love to hear from you. Get in touch with me or your local BNI region. You can email me at linda@bni-bgw.co.uk to find out how you can experience the power of BNI for yourself. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to share and subscribe so you never miss another inspiring story from one of our BNI members. See you all next time. Thank you.